If this video gets 5 views, we'll review the Shakira movie. Abdul will review the Shakira movie for a good hour if this gets 5 views. Or 1 like. I'm gonna like it. Abdul, you know the Shakira trailer in the movie? It played, and then about 2 minutes later, I nudged him on the shoulder. I was like, Abdul, let's review the Shakira movie. And he's like, what Shakira movie?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo-hoo.
You get it.
Before you guys came in, Abdul was like, let me think of a joke. And then there was a few minutes of silence and he goes, I thought of one. And I was excited because he thought of one. You know, so I was wondering what it would be. Are you thinking of another one? Why? We can move on.
Okay.
Okay, as in we'll move on? Or?
Yeah. Okay, so this last weekend we went to see The Joker. It premiered last week, right?
Yeah, it's been out for a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we went to see it as early as we could. Okay, not as early as we could because it got sold out the first time we tried seeing it. But yeah. And yeah, we're just going to share our thoughts on it and everything.
Yes, we are.
Let's start with the actor.
The actor.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Do you have to do that every time you say his name?
I think I do because my Mexican friend told me that's how I'm meant to pronounce his name.
Yeah, so the actor.
Yeah, what do you think of him?
Amazing performance.
Yeah.
Very, very... Yeah, like I think he carried the movie single-handedly.
Honestly.
I mean, it was mainly only him. There were a few extra people
Characters,
cast and
yeah.
characters, but I mean, he did a stellar job.
Yeah.
And he really portrayed mental health in a very, I don't want to say interesting way. He portrayed it in a very real way.
Yeah.
Very real way.
Yeah.
And his character had depth. It wasn't very two-dimensional, or this is a character with depression, or with he's unstable. He took on that role very well. And I think overall, in terms of ranking the Jokers, I think he's up there.
You think he's beaten Heath Ledger?
Okay, here's the thing, because Heath Ledger didn't have a fully fledged movie, like a solo movie.
Yeah.
You know, and again, Heath Ledger didn't have, in his movie, it wasn't like a prequel of how he became he was already established as the Joker.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do feel that in this movie, he's more menacing. Because in this movie, I feel he's way more unstable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in The Dark Knight, you just think he's a little bit crazy and evil.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, he has like different layers and you can see how unstable he is and you genuinely have no idea how he'll react.
Yeah, it's almost like his craziness was an expression of his instability in his personality. So it's like he was trying to be someone that society was forcing him to be, but then when he stopped doing that, what came out was who he really is, who is the Joker, like the evil, you know.
Yeah. So speaking of the character, what do you think of the character in the movie?
You mean Arthur?
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, like you said, I think it was a very multi-dimensional character. The actor really did him justice in the sense that you could feel him going from like Arthur to the Joker. You could see a clear difference between how he was at the start of the movie and how he was in the end. And you could see like his how he was suffering and how he was trying to cope with it. And it was a very deep character. I think that would be the best way to put it.
What I liked about his character was that he seemed very independent in the movie. So he was going to his own health meetings at the beginning to see the health social worker. He was going to the pharmacy to pick up his medication. He was taking care of his mother. He was cooking for her. He was bathing her. And it was very interesting to see that he was a functioning member of society. It wasn't like he was completely shunned down and he had no responsibilities.
Yeah.
He had a job. He was working. Like he was trying, and he was fitting in a sense that he was part of that society.
I think he was a functional individual. I don't know if he was a functional part of society.
No, yeah, yes, okay, be picky about it. But that's what I mean. Like, it didn't show him in the beginning already in a declined mental state,
Yeah.
needing something to live for, because he seemed troubled, but he seemed okay.
Mm.
You know, he seemed capable of taking care of himself at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what I found very interesting about that specifically, was that you could definitely tell that he had some issues, that he was still dealing with them on his own.
And also remember, he was still on medications.
He was,
at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
One thing I did find interesting, and I was talking about it earlier today, is how he's laughing thing, right?
Mm.
Have you heard the thing that some people say that if you're having a bad time, just smile or laugh, and it's gonna trick your brain that you're actually happy? So I thought initially that that's what he was doing. Like, his life was so miserable that he was laughing to try and trick his brain that his life was actually good.
Mm.
But then during the scene in the bus, then they showed us the card, and then showed that he has a condition that causes him to laugh randomly.
So what did you think about the scene later on where it's revealed, where he tells his mother that there's nothing wrong with me, that like I don't need to laugh and everything, and he seems to all be in his head? Because from watching the movie, and I don't know if it was just me, but when you see him laugh uncontrollably, there are pauses in between his laughs where he looks very upset that he's laughing, or very troubled.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it seemed that he had no control over it with his medication.
Mm.
And then later on, when he stopped his medication, he seemed to accept it and then never do it again.
Exactly. He never did it again.
He never did it again, which I found very interesting.
Same.
In a way that, was it just like psychosis in his brain?
Mm.
Was it just an effect of the medication? Was it just him having to accept like his past and his childhood, and he managed to overcome it?
I think, I'm just thinking about this now, but what if his laughter was the physical representation of his life not being really how he wanted it to be, or being how he wanted to control it, and he was just going with what his mother told him,
To just
which
always
was
smile.
always put on a smile. And then after, the event happened, and he stopped like laughing. Wait, can we say spoilers? I think we can, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, after he suffocated his mother with a pillow.
Oh, what the hell?
After he killed her, then he stopped laughing because he wasn't living under the world that she had created for him.
Yeah, I one thing I really enjoyed about that scene was the cinematography and how it played out, because as he suffocated her, he turns to look into the light from the window.
Yeah.
And he looks up and he looks relieved. And you see him, in a way, be at peace for the first time during the movie, because he feels this sense of responsibility just let go.
Yeah.
And I found that very interesting because it pans away as he's just staring up into the light. And I feel like in his own mind, that was the best thing he could have done, was killing his own mother, which is pretty messed up. Pretty messed up.
That's so messed up, because throughout the movie, you see like the bond that they have. And I actually thought what was going to make him snap and become the Joker would have been like his mom dying as a result of like society as well.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
I liked this more because when I was watching the movie, I don't know if they showed the mother in the trailers or anything, but when I watched this movie, while I was watching it, the thought I had in my mind was his mom seems to be his anchor into this world, and it seemed to me that the only way that he can become the Joker was if that anchor completely fell apart. And it was all like a facade in his brain, and that's kind of what it was, because she lied to him his whole life, and she was responsible for him being abused and
the trauma and everything.
Yeah, so in a way that was kind of a nice touch, because it showed that the one person he had in his life turned out to be just as bad as most people, and Because I think in the movie it plays a lot. It plays a lot into the fact that just be nice to me, and that's fine. Because the one of his co-workers
Yeah.
was nice to him,
Yeah.
and that's why he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
And it felt like every single character in the movie wasn't nice to him, and that was including his mother when he realized the truth.
But I wouldn't say it's his mother's fault though, because she genuinely believed it.
Yeah, no, she was very
She was
troubled.
also ill. Yeah.
But again, it affected him in a very bad way.
Yeah.
And
So
I
he
think-
almost saw it as she also like played a part in
exactly in all
his
this
struggles.
and-
Yeah. Also, like going back to the cinematography that you spoke about, the cinematography in this movie was amazing. Almost every scene was so impactful.
Yeah.
And had me at the edge of my seat. Especially the one in the train when he killed those 3 guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but like the flickering of the light, to me, it kind of seemed like the switching between like light, dark.
Yeah, is very good.
Yeah. And it's like his like a representation of his mind, like how it keeps going between like being in the society or just being like, you know what, fuck everyone. And that's what he ended up doing.
I love their portrayal of Gotham in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they really sold it as this rundown, bad area neighborhood thing.
Yeah.
There was
Crime-ridden.
crime and
Yeah.
graffiti everywhere.
Yeah.
And what I noticed during the movie is nearly every building looked run down or had graffiti, including the hospital. The only building, only 2 buildings that weren't run down or had graffiti was the theater and the very end. And when he was in the mental hospital thing.
Okay.
That was the first time you've seen clear white walls and just clean.
Yeah.
And for me, that's
That's
just,
so true.
for me, it was kind of it took him to get like institutionalized and crazy to finally have like just a nice clean
Place.
wall.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see that he's had this whole struggle in his whole life, and there's been graffiti and crime everywhere. In every scene we see, even in the hospital elevator,
Yeah.
there was graffiti on the background.
You know, even in the bathroom when he met Thomas Wayne of the theater, there was graffiti there. Yeah, there was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well,
There was.
it was very interesting to me that it took him to the end of the movie to finally have like a nice clean room.
Yeah.
And that only happened because he was
Institutionalized.
institutionalized. Nice touch. If that wasn't what they were going for, fair enough, but that was a nice touch. There was only one scene which I didn't like.
Which was?
So there was a kind of a love interest in this movie.
Oh yeah.
With another lead actress. And throughout the movie it seems that they have a relationship.
Yeah.
And then at one point in the movie, he breaks into her apartment, and she makes a line saying something along the lines of, "Oh, you're Arthur, right?
Yeah.
Or you live down the hall, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
Which,
yeah, Arthur, you live down.
which
Yeah.
implies that they don't know each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great reveal.
Yeah.
But then they had to flashback and show that he was always talking to himself whenever they were together.
Yeah.
And I didn't need that. One of those things where it's really impactful when it happens.
So it's like you just want that to be in your mind, and
Yeah.
then you think back, or you go back to watch the movie, and
And
you
you're like,
you see.
they never interact with anyone else. It's always just them two.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where they don't flat out tell you they don't know each other. They just imply it, and then that's how it's revealed.
Yeah.
Because you make the connection, but
Yeah.
then they show you the connection. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. That's what I didn't like. I feel like they could have done without that.
Fair enough.
But the rest of the movie I thoroughly enjoyed. What about you? Any standout scenes for you?
Yeah. After he killed those people, and he went into the bathroom. I love that scene.
And he was dancing.
Yeah, I loved it.
What do you think the dancing symbolizes? Because it's not really a conventional dance that he does, and he does it at certain times.
He does it. I just thought about it, and I think he's done it only after he's killed.
No, because he was dancing. I think he was dancing in his apartment when he first had the gun. Because remember he shoots the gun as he was dancing for the first time. I think
That's true.
But it seemed like his dancing is like a coping mechanism for him to escape, or it seemed very surreal.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Because I would think it's like him being happy or him
or
finding
just expressing
happiness.
himself
Yeah,
in some other form.
yeah. If it was like linked to him killing, then it could be like, okay, he's expressing his happiness because that's the joy he gets from killing.
Yeah.
Because he did it after he killed his co-worker in the apartment, and he was walking down the street, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And down the staircase. And he did after he killed Murray, which was also one of my favorite scenes. And it's the first time in a cinema that I've ever like jumped, because I did not see it coming.
Oh, you didn't think you'd kill him?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
No. I didn't. I really didn't. I thought he was, because every time he was always like doing it to himself.
Yeah, that's true.
So I thought, okay, like,
it just seemed like in the movie he wanted to get back at everyone who had wronged him.
yeah.
And he always looked up to Murray, like the talk show host,
Yeah.
from the very, very beginning.
Literally as a father figure.
And when we had the kind of scene in his head of him being on the show, and finally meeting him for the first time, to then going to Murray just mocking him, for me that kind of set him up to kill him.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of waiting for it a little bit.
Man, I wasn't expecting it. It was such a good scene.
Why did no one stop him?
When he was talking, right? Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
He admitted to killing 3 people in kind of not cold blood. Like, it was self-defense kind of, but they didn't know that at the time. He admitted to it, and he tells people that it's just funny. Like, I did it because of this. And
and they allow him to give a whole speech about
there's no security around.
And about how like messed up society is, about how no one sees it from the other person's point of view and everything, and people were just sitting there.
I guess in a way they kind of all felt safe because he was on TV talking about it. So for them, no one would expect him to just shoot someone on TV.
Yeah, or even be there with a gun. Why didn't they search him?
Gotham is messed up, huh?
Gotham is messed up.
They got a priority straight.
Yeah. What do you think of the ending?
The ending is in the final scene of him and of just the ending in general.
The ending of the movie, yeah.
Well, this is one of those movies where I didn't know when the end was because I was so kind of in the movie. Like when I was watching, I was so in like just
going with it
that I had no idea how this would end or when it would end.
Okay.
So if there was another extra hour on, I would still be fine with it because I had no idea what point this movie would end or how long I'd been watching for.
Yeah.
Saying that, I enjoyed the end when he was free from the police car, and he again was doing his dance thing.
Yeah.
It was very interesting to see the complete dissociation in society between the rich and the impoverished, in the sense that they really worshipped him as an idol for his murders, in a way that they would completely riot and destroy the town even more, the city even more, and be okay with murders themselves.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting take on Gotham.
That's how Gotham is.
Yeah. Or it's, again, depending on how you look at the ending, we'll discuss that.
Okay.
But what about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. I loved the scene with the people in the ambulance vehicle that came crash the car release. That was so like Gotham Joker, like people are just so obsessed with him. Like even in the comics and everything, not everyone, but the criminals like idolize him.
Yeah.
It
kind of speaks for that in a way.
Yeah. And it was just so like amazing. I don't even know how to explain it, but like those people coming out with the masks on and everything, it's like, you know, when he has his, what they're called, like his lackeys with him, it just seemed like that's who they were, like them carrying him out of the car. He never spoke to anyone, but all these people were on his side.
Yeah.
And that was amazing.
What did you think about the scene of him in the institution at the very end? And he starts laughing, and he's asked what's funny, and he tells the lady like it's a joke that she wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
What do you think he meant by that?
I still don't know.
No. There's a lot of I've seen a lot of theories, a lot of like YouTube videos on the side that say ending explained. So I think there's still up for discussion.
Yeah.
What it really is. But when I was watching the movie, to me it seemed that this particular scene takes place long after the rest of the movie. for me.
The institution.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when I was watching it, to me it seemed like it was him retelling the whole story
Yeah.
to the lady,
Yeah.
and in that sense, we know how unstable he is. So it kind of made it seem that It kind of implies that he's an unreliable narrator
Yeah.
in the way of his storytelling.
Mm.
So then we don't really know how
All of
idolized
that
he was
played out.
and played out and
Yeah.
everything. And what I found interesting, I was thinking about it after the movie, like the next day. If he was telling the story of what happened, it does make sense because he's in every scene. Pretty much every scene that I could think of, he was in. Even the scene of his mother in the hospital,
Yeah.
in the mental hospital, he was
There
he
he
showed
was
he was standing there
there.
seeing it, which I found interesting. And there's for me, I can only think of one real scene in which he wasn't there,
Yeah.
and that was when the Waynes were killed in the alleyway.
Okay.
So like, for me, it's nice for me to think that the joke was that I'm an orphan. I came from this background, and throughout all of my actions in life, I inadvertently created the Batman,
Yeah.
and now he's an orphan too. And that's the joke that no one would get, because that's my take on it anyway.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard that there's no connections to the
Yeah,
Batman.
I was gonna say that, but that is interesting.
But it's just nice to see that I'm really trying to think about any other scenes that he's not in.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any. So they didn't need to add the Waynes being killed.
Yeah.
It didn't add or take anything away from the movie.
Because that was how that ended. It ended with the shot, like them being shot, and then it pans out, and then it goes to the institution.
Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of nice that his joke was he created his like nemesis for life.
Yeah.
And that's the joke that no one would get, because it's like an inside joke between the two of them.
Yeah.
And he created an orphan when he himself was an orphan. He was impoverished and all alone. Now Batman's all alone.
Yeah.
And he did that. But I mean, it could be that he's figuring that out as he narrates the movie. Like he puts it all together. I'm like, I'm the one who's responsible for Batman's parents' death.
If that is happening like years later, because I also feel like what I thought when I saw that scene was literally the first thing that came to my mind was, don't tell me all of this didn't really happen.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me everything I've just what didn't really happen, because it kind of reminded me of what happened with the girl. Like with the girl that he thought that he was dating, and I was like, "Oh my, are you serious?" Because it doesn't. They don't show what happens after the riot.
Yeah.
If anything, if I'm thinking in like the Gotham, DC, Batman, Joker, whatever sense, I would think from there that was how the Joker went on and started committing crimes or had all these people with him. I was just free to roam the streets or like do whatever. Because I couldn't think of how they would arrest him after that. And if they did...
I mean, in the DC universe, he spent some time in Arkham.
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, you're right. Like, at the end of the movie, you don't know what his next thing and his next journey is.
Because even when Batman does defeat him and capture him, he's never sent to jail. I mean, he's sent to Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. Which
is like jail for all the
crazy people. Yeah. Mentally ill.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a break? Yeah, take a break. Take a break. We'll be back in a few. Play some music. No, like proper music. We be right back music.
Yeah.
You know how they cut and it's like...
Yeah, that is BRB music.
Sound do again?
Dum 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 dum, and then just keeps looping. You say some BRB music.
I don't know. Actually, Boy soundtrack. You just have that on.
There's no BRB music.
Yeah, that's BSB music.
So the one thing I also really liked about the movie was the music. The soundtrack, the music choice was amazing. It was perfect. The best music I think I've seen the best soundtrack in a movie that I've seen like in a very long time or so far.
How do you think it impacted the movie?
I think it added to it because it just seemed like they were mostly playing classical music, and which is really like calm and kind of, I don't know, it's the type of music I listen to when I'm studying. So I could kind
You
of,
study?
yeah, sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah,
We're
maybe
proud,
once
very
every 3 months
That's
when I
enough.
have exams, yeah. And I just felt like really impacted by it, maybe because of that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I would say it's a Joker soundtrack though. Do you think the music kind of represented the character?
The character, as in the Joker, or the character in this movie?
The character in the movie.
In the movie, I think it fits it very well.
Yeah.
But like one of my next questions to you would be, uh, would you consider this like a true Joker movie? Because if they removed the like connotations of being the Joker and left it as a standalone depiction of mental health in our society, I think it would have been just as well.
Yeah. Same.
So I think the music, they chose the music not for the Joker-esque character himself. They chose it for the specific scenes and the depiction of the emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, maybe it's just because those are like the songs that I really like. So when I heard them and heard like so many of them, it was very like, I guess, impactful for me to hear them. Going into the movie, like I think you told me before we watched it, you said you heard a lot of negative reviews about it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't so much negative reviews, but there was a very big amount. There was a large amount of backlash
Okay.
for the movie, and I didn't really read too much into them because I didn't want to get spoiled.
Yeah.
But I do know that a lot of them had to do with the depiction of mental health in the movie, and that was what I wanted to get onto next.
Okay.
Is how you thought they handled mental health, and like what do you think the take on message is, if there is one. And because a lot of the movies, a lot of the critics for the movie about mental health was I did see that there was worries that this would create another shooting like in the cinema, because that happened in the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That there was a shooter in that movie, and people were worried that this would cause the same kind of reaction.
Okay.
So that's what my next point to you would be. What did you think of how they handled mental health in this movie? Because I know a lot of people didn't like it, or they thought that this is a problem. They shouldn't do this.
Okay. I never actually made the connection until you just said it. When you said how they handled mental health, I thought you meant like how they depicted his mental illness.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know. I literally didn't make any connection between like mental health and shooting.
Oh no!
Until you just said
that's a good
it.
thing, though.
Yeah.
You live in that world, but that's not like a thing.
Oh wow! I thought it was like people being, I don't know, just being like extra sensitive about people portraying such a delicate subject like mental health. And I was gonna say I thought they did a good job in depicting like his struggles and like how it can be difficult for people to get help for like that mental health issues, I guess.
I mean, like my friend told me today that a lot of the reviews were saying that they were worried that this would show mental people as being unstable or ticking time bombs in a sense. Which is, I mean, if that's a worry, fine, but I don't think this movie did that at all. Because my main thing watching this movie is if people were just nice to him, nice to the Joker, and just left him alone and weren't going out of their way to be mean, this wouldn't have happened.
But I'm gonna be honest, now that you said it, I kind of do see it.
In which way? Careful.
Because like from the stories I've heard, it's usually people who are like shut out, like the incel groups, like people that no one really wants to interact with or talk to, or not necessarily that people don't want to talk to them, but they don't necessarily help themselves when it comes to like interacting with other people, or they kind of isolate themselves from interacting with people, or feel like the world is against them for one reason or another. And
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But for me, that's not what the Joker movie was about. Because in this movie, it wasn't like he was shutting everyone out. It wasn't like He was isolated. Like he had a job.
Mm.
He was living his life per se. It might not be the best life, but he was living his life, and it was everyone else that were truly horrible to him.
Yeah.
They were going out like the kids at the beginning when the kid stole his sign.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought was these kids have a lot of time on their hands because they were running like blocks just to annoy this one guy and ruin his. Because it seemed like people stole his sign. That led to his boss having a go at him, and his boss didn't believe him when he told him the truth. Then the guy gave him a gun. Then he lied about giving him the gun, and so it never happened.
Mm-hmm. The gun fell out of his costume.
It was an accident. He shouldn't have brought it to the hospital, but he then tried to defuse the situation and put it away. It seemed
he got fired because of that.
He got fired because of that. He couldn't get his medication prescribed anymore, and no one really seemed to care. Like even the health worker there didn't really seem like just in herself to be in that role as a health worker. It didn't seem to me that he was isolating himself and that's what caused this issue. It seemed that he couldn't catch a break. And it wasn't as if we were in the beginning of the movie his life was perfect and then it went bad. Yeah. His life was never great, but it was a life. Like he had a job and he had an apartment. He could get the bus by himself. It wasn't like he wasn't functioning in society. Like he would adhere to the rules of society. He might not have been happy with those rules, or he might not have been complacent in himself in that society. But it felt like it was a downward spiral that could have been prevented.
So you don't think it's the individual's responsibility?
No, of course it's the responsibility, but he was never mentally stable in the first place.
Yeah.
And we knew that. But no one else seemed to care or help. And that's what I find interesting about these movies when you watch them, is that if there was someone with a physical disability that you could see, people would treat you, people would help you and they would treat you differently because they could see it. But the fact that it's mental and we can't see it, we assume that they're fine and they're like crazy or just weird.
Yeah.
So take, for example, on the bus with the laughing.
With the lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
And him just trying to put a smile on the kid's face and then she just snapped at
him. And then when he laughed in reaction to that and showed her the card, it wasn't then that she took the card, read it and was apologetic okay, I made a mistake and assuming that this was just a random thing you do.
Yeah.
She was still in a way disgusted and put off by that. And I think like for me it was touching to see that this is a real issue. That people in society, like just not in society, but people in general, we don't know what they're going through. And we shouldn't jump to the assumptions that everyone is fine or that they're like us or just that nothing's going on with them. Yeah. Just because we can't see what people are going through doesn't mean that they're not going through anything at all.
And we should just treat them decently like normal human beings.
Just be nice. I mean, it's not difficult.
It's not.
When I watched the movie, I genuinely didn't see why everyone was being so mean to him.
It's like they were going out of their way to be mean.
Definitely. Yeah. And the thing is, in the beginning, he's portrayed as a very sweet guy. Mm-hmm. When he sees himself being on the talk show,
the way he introduced himself,
he's just very sweet. He says that he's the one who stood up and took responsibility for his mother because his dad wasn't around.
And he genuinely believed like he was in the world to put a smile on people's faces, like his mom said.
That's the thing, and even Murray when made fun of his laugh. Again, there was no context there. Murray didn't know why he was laughing, and I'm not saying like I'm better than that. I mean, we've all seen like a funny clip of someone doing something stupid and we've laughed.
Yeah.
But it does kind of show into a new light that we really should just take a step back and think to ourselves, hang on a second, these are people like us. Yeah. I wouldn't like that if that was me.
Like you said, like think about the other person.
Exactly. And I think for me that's the real take-home message is we shouldn't sweep mental health under the rug. Yeah. We shouldn't just ignore people's feelings or what they're going through. We really need to like not go out of our way just to be nice, because we should just be nice inherently. Like that's not a difficult thing, and we as humans are inherently nice people. Most of us anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of a nice way to depict that and kind of raise awareness in itself. So I didn't really understand the critics when they were saying that this would create another...
So you don't think there are any individuals who would feel like they kind of see themselves in him, in his struggles or the way he's life was going.
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everyone. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure there are people who can relate
Okay.
to the Joker, but I do hope that when they watch this movie, or if they watch this movie, they won't react in the same way because they would have seen his journey.
Yeah.
I would have seen that could be different if people were different.
Yeah.
And I think for him it was more difficult being in a very impoverished state, and he couldn't get
The
the help
society he
needed.
was in.
The
Yeah.
society, and I think, I mean, just in general, we live in a better society than Gotham.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so I think it's easier. I can't speak for everyone, but it should be easier to get the help you need,
Yeah.
and I think also, even if people are thinking that way, if other people watch the movie, the awareness will be raised so that they can treat those people better.
That's true. Yeah. And there's always like people that you can talk to.
Definitely,
Family,
definitely.
friends,
If anyone
professionals.
is going through things, you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. I like that about the movie.
Yeah, that was my. Before I watched the movie, I was going in wondering how they would depict the Joker.
Yeah.
Because I did understand that this was a story of how he became the Joker, and I was apprehensive about how they would go about doing that.
Yeah.
But I think they handled it very, very well, and I don't really understand the criticism it received, on that respect.
Yeah. I think, like you said, looking at it as a standalone movie, if you see it not being connected to the Joker in the DC universe, then like that's how I would see it. But I think because I went in with the idea of like the Joker from the Batman comics, cartoons,
Yeah.
and everything, I was kind of like, I knew he was crazy, or like he was, you know, a killing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of just looking to see how he got to that point. So I didn't really liken it to an individual human being. I just kind of saw it as a movie of a character.
Oh no, it's like same for me. Like because
Okay.
I went in knowing that it was how the Joker became the Joker.
Yeah.
And I was just very interested to see. Again, I guess part of how they would do that, because no one really knows detail wise how he became the Joker,
Yeah.
and also how they would depict that in live action movie as well.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about how when you went in thinking this was like a DC movie kind of Joker thing. So do you think that you would still be as excited to watch this movie, or would you go watch this movie like when you did, if they removed every aspect of DC from this movie and left it exactly the same, just a guy?
What do you mean? Like,
So they just had a random guy. The movie is exactly the same. They just remove Joker, they remove Gotham, they remove Thomas Wayne. So they remove all association with DC.
so he doesn't go on to become the Joker.
Not the Joker, he becomes a killer. He becomes like a madman kind of thing.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because I feel like people want to watch this movie to see like how the Joker became the Joker,
Yeah.
and how like the character developed from this kind of sane person into this killing machine,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice. But I think like the message of mental illness kind of supersedes that in a way, that when I watch this back, in my head, how the Joker became the Joker is like second now
Okay.
to how his like mental health declined.
Yeah.
Which I think is very interesting how they handled that
Yeah. I saw both of those together.
together.
Yeah. And also, I think another thing that might be controversial to say is I wouldn't like the association of like mental illness and like people going on to become shooters.
That's not controversial. That's okay.
Oh, because I know a lot of people, like, you know, whenever the shootings that happen in like US go on the news and people say, oh, they were mentally unstable
Yeah.
and things like that. I don't like hearing, I don't think that's necessarily the case. Maybe it is for some, but I don't think that's generally necessarily the case.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe what the critics might have been saying is that this movie is kind of siding with that.
Siding with them that that's not the case.
That mental health
Oh, so it's like-
illness could lead
So it's
to...
giving them an excuse, kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's what the critics are saying, and like that's what the whole criticism is about this movie.
Yeah.
But I think if you watch the movie carefully and you understand how they depicted the decline of mental health in a society that doesn't care for the impoverished and who pushes them away,
Yeah.
even when they were independent in the first place, and the individuals didn't step out of the way to do any crimes or to isolate themselves. I think they did it very. If the
Yeah.
movie say was about a guy
Guy
who was already depressed,
always locked in his like room, just like in front of a computer screen, or like just not really trying to do anything beneficial for his life,
yeah,
then I get what you're saying. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this guy went out, he got a
he
job.
got a job,
He
and he was
was
upset.
trying
He was
to
upset when he
secure the
got
job.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was still taking care of his mother. He was still, being.
And he had a dream of being a comedian.
Yeah.
And he actively
He wasn't-
wrote material, and he was trying.
Yeah,
So I feel like there is a big dissociation between
there is. Yeah.
how mental health is depicted in this movie and how some of the critics are taking it.
Yeah. I think also, like, whenever I watch a movie, I don't watch it with, like, a political eye either.
No.
And I feel like a lot of people, like, tend to do that.
Okay.
So they always, like, try to find an association between a movie and it making a sort of
real
political
world, yeah.
statement.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. It might
No.
just be a movie about the Joker.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. And I mean, and if there was one statement that people want to cling to from this movie, it's just to be nice to each other.
Literally.
Like, that is the one thing people should take home from this movie.
Yep.
Not that, oh my god, this might create more killers. No, just be nice to people in general.
Yeah.
Raise awareness of mental health, and this stuff can be avoided.
Exactly. Going back to what we said about it being, like a standalone movie and not being representative of, connections with previous DC movies and comics or whatever.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this movie to someone who hasn't seen any DC movies or read the comics, watched any of the cartoon movies?
Yes.
You would?
I would recommend this movie to pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Because I think
Except kids.
Yes, of course, except kids. Because I think they did it in a way that they give kind of a homage to DC without shoving it down your throat.
Yeah.
So they have a character called Thomas Wayne, but they don't specify in the movie, hey, that's Batman's parents, people. Make a connection.
Yeah.
They mention Gotham, I think, maybe like once or twice, not like a huge amount.
Yeah.
So even if you don't know anything about Batman or the Joker or the DC universe in general, I think you will still get just as much out of the movie. Maybe the last end with Thomas Wayne and Martha being killed, and then Batman. Maybe that might be the only scene that people might be a bit confused about, or they might have questions as to why they were showing that scene.
Yeah.
But I think in general, everyone who can see this movie should go and see this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just for DC people or people who just want to like. Yeah. What about
I
you?
agree. Yeah, I agree. I would recommend it. I feel like it's, like I said after that movie, it's one of my best movies in the past. Maybe all my life, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe I'm still having the early posts.
Yeah, that's the thing with us, isn't it? Because we always go watch a movie and we enjoy the movie because we're very happy people. And we like going to the cinema. It's nice to be out sometimes instead of
locked in the room and
No, I do agree. Oh god. But I mean that's my issue usually. But usually when I watch a movie, the next day I'll wake up and be like, "That's not what I thought about the movie." But it's been a few days now, and I still feel the same way.
Same.
So I do. Yeah. So how would you rate this movie then?
Out of
10. 10 being like Emperor's New Groove. No, 10 being like the perfect movie.
9.
9.
If not 9.5. I was very tempted to give it 10, but then the comment you made about the scene with the girl.
Yeah,
that kind of
detracts a little bit. Yeah.
It could have been a 10 if that scene was just left with the revelation that they had no connection.
Yeah, I think I would give it like an 8.5, 9.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very good movie. And yes, I mean for me that's the only scene that I can really think of that detracts a little bit from the narrative.
Yeah.
That was our take on the Joker. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys in the next one.